Hey, it's Dr. Rick. I just had my nuclear stress test here at Chicago Cardiology in Schaumburg with one of my friends, Dr. Parag Doshi, my favorite cardiologist. This is the treadmill that you'll be put on. The treadmill is connected to an EKG machine, and there's always going to be a technician here monitoring you and your blood pressure. What we want to do, whether I send you to Dr. Doshi or I put the order in myself, is to see what your heart does under duress. In many cases, even if you don't have any chest pain, if you're high risk for narrowing of the arteries or heart attack, sometimes this will pick it up. Not to the point of having a heart attack, but it'll pick it up just to the point of developing ischemia or suspicion of ischemia. So what happens is there's a machine there that picks up a signal once you're injected. This is my IV. Another tech will inject you with a very benign radionuclide that emits from your body for approximately 2 days. It's very safe. It's been used for decades. And it has an affinity towards the heart muscle. So when it's injected and circulates around until it is degraded and peed off, it will bind to heart muscle. And what we want to do is get a picture before the stress test, do the stress test, and then get a picture afterward. In this picture of the heart, there'll be a circulating amount normal, like before you exercise. And then when you do exercise, if that amount does not show up on the post-exercise scan, when you lie down on this thing, that means during exercise, there's parts of your heart that are not getting blood flow. That's not good. And the thing is, for those of you who don't exercise, sometimes you'll never know. You'll never feel chest pain, but I will have suspicion that there's a coronary artery that's narrowed. And sometimes the only way to find out, and it's not just with people who are intentionally sedentary, but it's also with people who might be very athletic. You won't be able to find out until you hit a certain amount of, say, heart rate and blood pressure on an incline here. We go through something called the Bruce Protocol. It's been around for a long time, since I was a resident, 30 years at least. And the Bruce Protocol increases the gradient on this thing every 3 minutes. I made it to 5 minutes. I believe the gradient was 18% grade. That's like you coming with me on one of my hikes to Colorado. And I made it to a MET, or metabolic equivalent, of 17.5. So all those numbers are just to say you will be pushed harder and harder every 3 minutes until you hit a designated amount of heart rate. And that's calculated by the cardiologists. And there is a top out. If your blood pressure goes too high, then the test has to be stopped, because it's not good to go too high. But believe it or not, I hit about 188. That's a systolic of 188 exercising. And this is why you don't really check your blood pressure when you exercise, but it's important to know what your normal is. So those of you who don't feel anything, but yet you have hypertension or white coat hypertension, and you get into the 180s, imagine what happens when you get on a treadmill. You can easily hit 200. That's stroke material. So it's really important to follow the numbers, whether those numbers are 120/80, like the American College of Cardiology, American Heart Association, or even lower than that. The idea is we find a safe avenue where you're supposed to exist resting. And then the heart rate, mine was 56, I think. The more cardiovascularly fit you are, the lower your resting heart rate. And that's ideal. So don't be afraid if you're 70 or 60 and you haven't exercised ever. It's important to start. I mean, muscle has really good resiliency. So even a 60 to 70-year-old muscle can still turn on and respond into hypertrophy like a 15-year-old, but it'll just take a little bit of work and personalized training. So it's never too late to start. Exercise is always important to increase your chances of longevity and decrease your chances of heart attack. So hopefully I can take care of you, but don't be afraid if I have to send you to a cardiologist. Altogether, the team is to help you survive and make it to 100 possibly without any immobilization or disease. So thanks for watching.